Survival, persistence, and attrition. Those seem to be the keys to NARL success as of late. Survive the start, make it through the opening laps, persist to push through the field, never give up, make it to the end of these races in as opportunistic a way as possible, and you'll find yourself up front. Oh, but now we're asking these 40, 50 drivers to do it on the streets of Belle Isle. Welcome to the virtual Detroit, Michigan. JP Costa and Trey Shuttlesworth join me in coverage for today's North American Racing League event, brought to you by RaceLab, TAM Liveries, and JS Consulting. JP, welcome to Belle Isle.
Thank you, Andrew. It's a pleasure to be here. I mean, on this amazing street course, one of the most difficult courses, one of the most difficult racetracks on iRacing, in my opinion. You can see here the track map full of 90-degree corners, but that doesn't do it justice enough. Pretty sure each one of these corners is a challenge on itself to get it right, and to get it on perfection, to be fast, especially in a league like this, it's going to be a challenge on its own.
I think if you look at it in a broad sense, that there are a lot of right-hand corners, of course, or I guess right-angle corners. You've got turn 1, relatively 90 degrees, thereabouts. Turn 2, very similar. 3 and 4, very similar. But they've all got their own different characteristics into the braking zones, or the particular radius around the curbing, around the bend. They all flow in a very different way, and they all flow together quite nicely here at Detroit. You come... obviously, I mentioned turn 1, turn 2, through Casino Way, then down Central Avenue to turn 3, you turn onto Fleming Straight, and then Loiter Way, Picnic Way. That's when you kind of feel like you're almost in the infield of the track. It really feels like you're in the inside almost, and you have a very similar feeling once you roll down from turn 6 to turn 7, the longest straightaway on the course, down Strand Drive, or it might rival Central Avenue. Regardless, get down to turn 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's another kind of infield section. Feels like you're kind of in the racetrack almost. But then you pop back out onto Strand Drive at a turn number 11. Back around 12, 13, Sunset Drive, and that completes a lap here at Belle Isle. You can see the top right there, lap record. 1:14.206 set by Joseph Newgarden in 2017 for Team Penske. I do want to thank everybody for joining us this evening on our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter platforms. Belle Isle is nestled in the Detroit River between Michigan and the southernmost areas of Canada. These drivers enter this race weekend, or I guess this race day, if you will, nestled amongst one another in some pretty tight points battles. Here they are on your screen. There's the driver point. So this is where each driver has scored themselves. We'll get into team points in a moment, but JP, things are starting to get a little bit stretched out towards the top of the pro standings until you get down to 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. They're all on top of one another. In fact, you got 6th and 7th tied at 52 points back of our points leader, and 8th place is only one more point back of them. So a lot of really great points battles within the midst of the top 10. It's just Pedro de Oliveira and Mikhail Rudebush taking off.
Yeah, 100%. Pedro de Oliveira is on a fantastic streak. 2 wins in a row on the past 2 weeks. Also with pretty much all the pole positions, if I'm not mistaken. So he's on a fantastic run. Mikhail Rudebush, I mean, he's a solo driver on his team. He's doing a fantastic job with the consistency. And then, as you mentioned, we do have quite a big gap because some of the players that we saw last season are not quite giving out the results that we kind of do expect from them. Obviously, Jackson Rezende finds himself in 4th position, only 1 point behind Brian DeFries and 1 point ahead of Blake Scott, another driver who is showing great consistency. And then we have to look all the way down into 10th place to find our only other race winner, Matthew Dench, 61 points behind. That's not something we kind of expected after last season, isn't it?
No, and of course that is helped along by the fact that Matthew Dench dropped out of Watkins Glen, much like Fabio Zamperlini. They both had pretty terrible days, let's be honest, for Duck Hawk Racing. So that race alone is really handicapping their season so far. But we have a drop week on the way. That'll get figured in before the final standings are released. So that's down the road a little bit. There's still a lot of racing to get there. Let's take a look at our team standings here. If we get back over to it, team standings. A lot of the same that we've seen so far. Full-Time Esports pulling away. Although you will now notice, JP, it's now Full-Time Esports 1 at the top of the pro list. That is because after last race out at Spa, BM Caratoni, who won the amateur race, or in the amateur division, took top honors there, has been promoted into pro, and now those team points will go towards the pro side of Full-Time Esports, but they are split into Full-Time Esports 1 and Full-Time Esports 2. So a very big distinction to make. There are now 2 Full-Time Esports in the pro side. That makes sense. So a bit different there. You can see full-time esports has a 51-point lead over NAR Racing / Team Empire, who is just ahead of Dark Horse Esports, and somehow Duck Hawk Racing, really, while they've faltered, they've had big moments, they haven't been able to capitalize like they've wanted, they've still been in the top half of the field. You can see how close they are still to the top of the board.
Exactly, with the team points, how many points to score after each race, that could really shoot him up. If those teams ahead of them have bad luck, that could really change out. And then obviously we do have a big gap, 53 points. No, not 53, 42 points behind. I'm not gonna count on that. Don't count my math. It's pretty bad at this moment. SDS Racing in 5th place, and then it kind of bunches up once again. We do have 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, quite close to one another, and then another big gap to Rem Racing Esports and Extreme Speed. Obviously, on the amateur side as well, we kind of do have a big gap between 1st and 2nd, but then kind of bunches up 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So it's kind of interesting to see how it all is gonna play together, and I'm pretty sure these gaps are gonna get shorter and shorter throughout the season as results go up and down, and sometimes bad luck plays in. It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out.
I'm glad you mentioned the amateur side a little bit. This amateur team battle is quite interesting, and I really want to commend everybody at Rabbit Chase Racing for being so good this season. Rabbit Chase Racing standing out as the team to beat right now, and they've got a nice little cushion, 30 points coming into race number 4, and if they can hold that or even improve upon that, that'll be 30 or so points going into the halfway point of the season. So that's really impressive from Rabbit Chase Racing, and I think certainly a round of applause due for Rabbit Chase Racing as we come to race number 4 on the season. Let's look at the season schedule. Here we go. Belle Isle, race number 4. This is the halfway point cutoff, basically, after this evening. Next week, we go to Silverstone Circuit in the UK, and that's where we start to talk about a championship more properly. This has all been setting the stage for everything, basically, in this back half of the season. It's almost like a sports game, be it soccer, football, whatever, or American football, or what do you want to call it, where you kind of have the first half and the second half, and they're quite distinct in the way they're played.
Yeah, 100%. Right now, it's all about the points grab. Things do get, how can I say it? They're a bit lighter. You can afford to make mistakes. You can afford to DNF. But as soon as we finish this up, things are going to get real. You only have 4 rounds to deliver. You only have 4 rounds to get good results, not only for you, but for your team as well. And obviously, we do have a few challenging circuits. I mean, Silverstone is not going to be easy. It's even though it's really wide, made for F1, it's going to be a challenging circuit. It can really prove out to throw some interesting results. Hungaroring, I mean, that's Monaco without the barriers in F1 world. It could be very tricky as well with the GT cars. This could be a prelude, actually, couldn't it, Andrew? Belle Isle, this could be the real Monaco for the iRacing schedule, being how close the drivers are going to get to the barrier. And obviously Phillip Island and Road America for our finale, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I think Belle Isle is a decent little prelude, like you said, for Hungaroring. I'm very interested in Hungaroring and Phillip Island and how those races play out. I'm glad you bring those up as well, because we are quickly throttling towards both of those races with a lot of unknowns in so many categories. And they're going to set the stage for Road America to finalize the championship. So a lot is going to happen those last few weeks once we get into the month of December. And again, everything is kind of setting the stage for the next round or the next little bit of racing. This kind of stage here in November, these 2 races, November 11th tonight, November 18th next week, kind of set the stage for that 3-race run to the end of the season. And again, it feels like a first half, second half kind of season. So there's a lot of different dynamics, a lot of different ways you can look at this season, and I think that's what makes everything about the North American Racing League so good. Now, of course, it is November 11th. We do have to mention, we completely remiss in not mentioning, is Veterans Day here in the United States of America. Don't want to, I guess, sound too cocky, but in my opinion, the greatest country in the world, on the earth, however you want to put it. And I do have to thank every single man and woman who has ever served the United States of America and will continue to serve the United States of America for your service. And that extends not just to the United States of America, but all of her allies. So much for what each and every one of you have done. Didn't thank a veteran today. I invite you to do so. You don't have to do it just on November 11th either. You can do it any day of the week, and it doesn't matter if you're in the U.S. or not. JP, your case, you're in Brazil. If you ever come across a veteran, by all means, thank them. It really does mean a lot to them. And I know we're no longer broadcasting the races for Operation Motorsport, but I joined in and made sure to go to operationmotorsport.org/donate today and chipped in my little bit. Can't do a whole lot, but I wanted to make sure that I contributed on this day on November 11th. That's very important to do. Charities like Operation Motorsport, and I would urge everybody here, even though we're no longer affiliated, please go check out operationmotorsport.org/donate and consider donating today. Practice times, they are on the board. We can go ahead and take a look at them here. Matthew Dench leading the way, which is big. We were just talking about how Matthew Dench had a really bad outing at Watkins Glen, is much lower in the standings than we expect. He is currently on top, and most notably on top right above Pedro de Oliveira S.
Yeah, exactly. The gap is not that big, although less than a tenth of a second, but it's still, if you can carry this out on practice, on qualifying, it could be a really good result. We all know how difficult it is to kind of overtake on pace around Belle Isle. There's not a lot of overtaking opportunities, let's be honest. Obviously, you're going to rely on mistakes from other people, but still, going out on practice, being first place, is going to be really good. Maybe that's qualifying pace. Obviously, Jackson Resende, third place. Mikael Rudebusch, once again, really a good showing for him in fourth place, and it just continues. I mean, the top 10 is full of pro drivers, which is not something we're kind of used to seeing, but well, we're gonna have to wait and see who's gonna be the amateur driver that is really gonna show up today, because that's something that we kind of look forward each and every single time we race, isn't it, Andrew? The one amateur driver that really pops up and give those pro drivers a run for their money.
I mean, tonight, it's so far, it's looking like Diego Era, but it's still so very early in today's activities, if you will, in today's program. Here's a look at Jose Antonio Ramos as he sits in 18th right now on the practice charts. Mark Scott is also on the speedway. He is in a Porsche this week. Interesting move there for Mark Scott. I think he's been running the Porsche more often as of late. So good to see him finding a car that he seems to like and settling in there with that Porsche. Take him as a little further back. He'll be mired back with these amateur drivers. We'll see how that start goes. He's one of the pro drivers, along with John Sedlak. So a couple of drivers maybe to look out for to work through this field a little bit. If you flip back over to the top side of the board, go back up into pro, you've got Fabio Zamperlini in 7th, and of course, the expectations are very high, as, I mean, he's our reigning champion. They're, of course, going to be high. Tonight might be the night, or maybe we see him kind of rebound.
Yeah, he definitely needs that rebound. Half a second off Matthew Dench, his teammate, actually. Still rocking that Audi. I'm not pretty sure what the pace of the Audi may be on this track, but he seems confident with it. He's always running it, so this could really be a show. Obviously, this lap time could be on higher fuel. It could have, accounted for a mistake. But he really needs to essentially have a good race to kind of settle him back to that winning ways that we kind of know him for, or those consistency days that kind of have not been treating him too well so far.
The fans already cheering on Brian Long, who comes in 23rd right now in practice standings. That's somewhere in the top 10 for amateurs, so a really promising day already for Brian Long. So, those of you cheering him on, you have reason to celebrate so far. Here's a look at Jackson Resende popping the wall a little bit out of that corner. And look, he's in an Audi, not in a Ferrari. Now, Full-Time Esports, when they showed up for Cash Days at Long Beach back in September, they ran some Audis. They had, of course, Ferraris in the field, but they had some Audis as well. This is an interesting switch back to an Audi, back on a street course.
Yeah, exactly. This could really be interesting. Obviously, we know how snappy the Audi can be. We do have a few drivers as well in the Ferrari, but it could play off. You know, some of those cars that are kind of snappy, they may be less forgiving, but they do have their strengths. And looks like the Audi may be playing to their strengths on this particular circuit, on this particular type of racetrack. So we're just gonna have to wait and see how the car shows up in qualifying, how it shows up in the race with higher fuel. And obviously fuel is something that we have to talk about when we get to the race, isn't it?
Yeah, and we'll get to that in just one moment. I do want to mention as we advance into qualifying here that this series is brought to you by RaceLab, which helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics. That is a word combo that I didn't think would ever trip me up. Race statistics and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.com. App. And I see a lot of you drivers out there, if you go back and watch this broadcast, a lot of you drivers still are wondering, where do I go? What do I use as far as an overlay for sim racing? Come on, RaceLab is right there. It's a layup at this point. Go ahead and head over to racelab.app. They will help you out, especially being a fantastic partner of the North American Racing League. JS Consulting provides custom website and app development, including iRacing League, website design, and hosting. Find JS Consulting at johnsedlak.com. Cam Liveries offers custom packages for some of the best livery designs in iRacing. Used by pros and amateurs alike, you will definitely look good on the track, fast or medium-based or slow. It doesn't matter what speed you're going, Cam Liveries will hook you up and will get you looking good on the track, at least virtually, on the iRacing.com service. A lot of partners of our own here at PitStopTV, of course, Tucson Sound Art, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, Whiplash Media, and BAM Racing Videos. And where would we be without each of them, man? They do seriously a lot here. We always want to thank efforts. Qualifying underway, and as JP started to talk about, there is a different fuel limit for these drivers, even a different race length. Tonight's race is no longer 50 minutes like we've seen so often, in fact, in every single points-paying race in the North American Racing League to this point. Instead, we are going for 1 hour on the dot, 60 minutes of racing here in Detroit, and what that means is that we don't have the normal 50% fuel limit to, bring us that one pit stop that we're so used to. Instead, it's a 35% fuel limit, which should give us 2 stops, ideally right about at 20 minutes and 40 minutes.
This is really going to be interesting to see how it plays off during the race, because obviously some of that fuel strategy might be thrown out the window, but also it's going to be back as well. So the cars are going to be running lighter, which means they're going to be faster. It's going to be more exciting seeing the guys, everybody stopping 2 times. It's not something we're used to seeing in sprint races at all in iRacing. We're only talking about whenever the races go well over an hour. So this could really throw some drivers off and could really bring out some new strategies onto light, man. A race can't come soon enough. Those strategies, those pit stops can't come soon enough.
Just getting a look through some of the onboards, not even checking out names just yet until we see how some of these drivers check in for their qualifying laps. I just love going through onboards here with these GT3 machines. I will say this is on board of Jose Antonio Ramos again as he comes across and will complete a time, I would imagine. He does. Yes, and he goes 3rd on the board so far. Here we go. Here's some times rolling in.
Yeah, looks like the times are quite close. Looks like the leaders are, quite spread apart. Jackson Resende, the provisional leader so far, only his first lap, so we're going to have to see if he improves during the second one. Scott Kimbrough currently 0.3 of a second away from the pole time. He has to improve a lot. Of this track is all about confidence. You have to build your confidence. You have to really trust your car, trust your grip. Bryce Rodriguez only, less than 1/10 of a second. That's a really, really good lap time from him, and that's not a lot of time to find. So this could really play out interesting. Looks like the qualifying times are quite closer than I originally thought. Matthew Dench, is he on a McLaren?
He is. I just noticed that too. Look at that. You know what? It makes sense, though, for an Aussie to be in a McLaren. What is one of the best cars going to Bathurst? It's the McLaren. Time in, trying to figure out the word. Hang on. Anyways, point being, the McLaren tends to be quite good in the Bathurst 12-hour. Kind of makes sense then that an Aussie would go ahead and go for it. I still can't think of the word I was going to go for there, JP, but regardless, we see a McLaren. We always like a McLaren. For one reason, let's wait until he gets out of turn 1. We'll see it.
They're going to have to see that lap time. He was less than 1/10 of a second. Does he improve?
Whoa.
He does. There we go. Whoa, and that's a big improvement.
Up to pole for Matthew Dench by 0.4 over Jackson Rosende, who's already turned his next lap, so he's back onto another lap. So a really solid lap there for Matthew Dench. Here's a look at Mikel Rudebusch opting for a Ferrari this evening for Pacific Sim Motorsport. A team that's been hanging on quite nicely solely by his efforts. So I do want to mention that for Pacific Sim as well. A team that we've seen a lot of in the past on PitStopTV. No other drivers in this series, just Mikel. Over on the amateur side, qualifying getting rather interesting because Mark Scott is currently on pole over Brian Long.
Not only on pole, but also in the top 10. That's a really, really good qualifying position for him. And that could really be on a show, showing how difficult it is to overtake. This could get very, very interesting. And, well, the amateur times are actually quite close together, if I'm not mistaken. So this could really be a good race, not only for the pros, but also for the amateur class.
This amateur class might just have something for the guys ahead. You can see Mark Scott within a second and a half of Matthew Dench. Should have a place like Detroit, where it's very, very easy to lose a 10th here and there. Pretty promising so far for the number 170s. Like what we're seeing, he does actually get bested by his son, gets knocked out of the top 10 by his son, drops down to 11th. Here is Blake Scott, who has just gone a little bit quicker, moved into the top 10. Good looking Lamborghini this evening. Another one of the amateur drivers trying to move up in this little amateur field is the GPVA driver of Diego Era.
So Diego, he was the fastest amateur driver in practice. Can he translate that pace into qualifying? Oh, no.
Does move up.
Like
he takes pole
oh,
for the,
he does.
for the
Yeah,
class.
there we go. Oh, there we go. So, well, showing the pace that he showed in practice, that's going to be really good. Brian Long also improving his lap time. Willing Coffey currently 1.8 seconds behind the leader. Is that an AlphaTauri livery on the Ferrari? No, it does look.
No, not quite.
But it does look quite a bit similar. Talking about liveries, I was just noticing after you talked about the Bathurst 12 hour. There we go, the PitStopTV logo. You had to show it, didn't you? Talking about the Bathurst 12 hours, Jackson Resende Audi kind of reminds me of the Nissan GTR, doesn't it? The front end.
I'd have to look at a reference picture, I suppose, to pick it out. But keen eye regardless. Here's Tay Kim, somebody I love talking about paint schemes and then coming to his. You mentioned a lot of liveries, and of course, Cam liveries on with this season. Well, with this series, some paint schemes maybe that we can showcase. Then would be Mike Braun potentially if he's in the field. I know he was somewhere out there. I think he's already finished up his qualifying effort. Oh, there's Sonny Brown. Here we go, the 115 car. So he's one of the Team Empire guys. This is somebody we don't usually talk a whole lot about. Oh, don't want to say that might be why, but he does slam the wall at turn one. No, Sonny Brown has done a lot of great work recently, and we pull up point standings again. It's actually quite an interesting story. And I'm kind of surprised we don't talk much about him. He checks in at 10th in the amateur category. He's clearly got consistency. We just don't see him a whole lot, I suppose, because we're chasing the storylines throughout the field. He's just one of those very, very quiet drivers. So he's good in one of those really quiet ways and helps elevate that Team Empire Blue team into a really solid position in the amateur team standings. He's doing a lot of great work behind the wheel of the 115. We just don't see him a whole lot.
And that's sometimes a really, really good thing to happen. You
yeah,
know?
Well, usually when we see some of these guys, it's because they're crashing. So that is a good thing in a way.
Exactly. Whenever you're running a quiet race, but you're still showing up in the points, it means you're doing something right, and he definitely is as well. Looks like Clarence Rosa currently 3 seconds off the pace at the moment. He's in the Audi. He only has a few more laps on his belt, maybe just one more lap. Yeah, this might be the last one, so kind of has to improve a little bit of the lap time. Angelico looks like he's on the pits, 2 seconds away. Is he practicing maybe a stop? It could be.
I wouldn't blame him. I do like, well, he just escaped, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was a pit stop practice for Angelico. He's an Italian. He's one of the few Italians I've ever seen on iRacing, but a big shout out to Angelico. He comes in and has been running the Alfa Romeo livery for a lot of this season, if not the entire season so far, and I do really admire Alfa Romeo's and his particular. Quite nice. Here's Take Him going around for a lap. Finishes, looks like he's going to finish his qualifying run in 14th. It's actually a really solid starting spot for Take Him. Really promising day already for the 277.
Yeah, he did a really good lap time, but that Ferrari's damaged, isn't it? Look at on the
Yeah, but that's
right
so easy
side.
to do here.
Yeah, that's true. But still, if you can do that lap time with a damaged car, that could really show up a good promise on the race. Looks like Bowerman is he finishing up his lap? Yes, he is. That's the final corner. Does he? Well, he will improve because this is going to be his only lap unless he invalidated. He goes close to the wall. Where does he sit? 4 seconds off the pace. Not a great lap, but if that's your only one, well, it's better than nothing.
It moves him in front of Guillermo Caratoni, Rohamas Rodriguez, Kevin Santiago, and Ian Ward, because while Billy did turn his lap right there, it was the slowest of all laps turned. This is going to be a short pace lap. Let's check out our grid pretty quickly here. Starting on pole, Matthew Dench, the Aussie, in the 283. Starting to his outside is Jackson Resende. Starting third at Detroit Belle Isle, it's Bryce Rodriguez. Then Mikhail Rudabush starting fourth. Starting fifth, it's a 250 of Pedro de Oliveira S, alongside our reigning champion Fabio Zamperlini. Starting seventh place at Detroit, it's Scott Reister in the 242 with Brian DeVries outside. And to finish up the top 10 at Detroit, it's Scott Kimbrough and Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez.
Starting off in row number 6, we're going to have Blake Scott in the 267 and the 177 of Diego Area in 12th place. In row number 7, we're going to have Mark Scott in the 166 and the 277 of Take Him in 14th place. In 15th place, we're going to have Brian Long in the 176 and the 226 of Rob Rodriguez in 16th place. In row number 9, we're going to have William Coffey in the 157 and Daniel Hall in the 172 on 18th place. And riding off row number 10, we're going to have Austin Powell in the 155 and Joshua Jensen in the 281 in 20th place.
Starting 21st, it's the number 203 of John Sedlak. Jose Antonio Ramos will start from 22nd. Starting 23rd today at Detroit, it's Dominic Angelicio, someone we were just talking about, alongside Mike Braun in the 107. Starting 25th, it's Pablo Ferretti, a former amateur pole sitter, in the number 113 with Joshua Benjamin alongside. Starting to the right side of row number 14, William Valdez with Julian Bell on the left. Starting 29th tonight, it's Sean Patterson in the 154, Bunny Brown in 30th.
In 31st place, we're going to have Armando Bejarran, and in 32nd place, we're going to have Clarence Rosa. 33rd place, we're going to have, looks like we're going to have Chris Winstone in the 137 and the 142 of Johnny Jones, 34th. 35th place, we're going to have Kenneth Michael in the 119 and the 102 of Billy Bowerman in 36th place. In 37th, we're going to have Kevin Diego with Guilherme Cajetoni in 38th place. In 39th place, we're going to have Ian Ward in the 108 and the 123 of Red Hams Rodriguez in 40th place.
That is all 40 cars taking the green flag today at Detroit Belle Isle. I know Scott Reister was joking about the short pace lap. Scott, we got them all in. We got through all 40 cars. That is quite the accomplishment at a place like Detroit. Weather report going into today's race, pretty calm. 68.5 degrees in the air. That gives us a track temp of 69 degrees. It's a nice day in Detroit. We're getting ready to go green flag racing at Detroit. 60 minutes on the way, and it all begins now. Into turn number 3, so down that long straightaway down Central Avenue for the first time. Most of the field seems to be okay, if not the entire field. A very spaced out start, some slow cars maybe working through turn 3 for the first time, but everybody continues.
That's the most important. You have to get through lap 1 if you want to win. You cannot win the race in lap 1, but you can certainly lose it. Looks like Matthew Dench already has a big gap back to second place. Jackson Resende looks like he's going to be under pressure, but maybe not a move yet into turn 1. Oh, we do have a Porsche spun around. Oh, he's facing the wrong way. Ian Ward nearly took out another driver. Is that entering turn 7? Turn 6?
That was turn 6. Yeah, that was back exiting that first kind of infield portion that I'd mentioned. Matthew Dench in front of Jackson Resende. These guys battling behind him are starting to raise my blood pressure. Jackson Resende, Bryce Rodriguez through that middle portion around the fountain. They're starting to get after it.
Yeah, they're certainly racing. Looks like they know that overtaking is really hard and track positions are going to be important. We do have a Lamborghini spun around. That's going to be Sean Patterson in the 154. Oh, he's right on the racing line. That's the worst place possible. Oh, and he reverses a bit. That's going to be a bit of damage to his Lamborghini. Oh, he's going to have to do a 3-point turn. The 112 as well. Angelico, he's going to be spun around in his Ferrari. So not a good start for some of these drivers. But luckily for them, it's the 1-hour race.
10 extra minutes to sort their 10 extra minutes to sort their races out. There we go. The battle for second, like I mentioned, is on between Resende and Rodriguez through the first lap. They are into turn number 5 now on lap number 2. The battle for the amateur race lead, however, is a little further back. It isn't really a battle at all, as Mark Scott is quite a ways in front of second place Diego Ero.
That's going to be important. He needs to keep up that pace, and he's going to be the shout-out driver, I guess, on the amateur class. He currently has 2 positions clear of Diego Area, as you mentioned. So, and it looks like he's chasing his son, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Chasing him for that 10th position.
Yeah, I'm not pretty sure. I was gonna say in qualifying, that was one position. I'm pretty sure he wasn't gonna be mad that he lost to his son. He should be. I guess he could have a grin on his face, seeing his son beating him. And well, seeing his son ahead of him, it's gonna be really, really fun to watch. It certainly is for me as well.
A couple of drivers further back having some issues. Here's Guillermo Caratoni, who won last time out in the amateur class for at Spa, but now he's been promoted to pro in the number 259 now instead of the 149. Working through turn 7, turn 8. He's alongside Ian Ward, who just had that spin through turn 5. Oh, kind of shoulders him off. That is some aggressive racing.
That was aggressive racing. I was surprised Ian Ward even tried to going for it instead of backing out. That just shows
he was
that
defending.
Well, he's here for. Yeah, he was defending, but still really hard defending. I thought he was gonna back off, but I mean, surprisingly he didn't.
One car around, maybe, or pitting potentially. Yes, pitting here is Kenneth Michael in the number 119. Very early to pit. He's looking for his pit box. I think he's already passed it.
Pit box, yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing quite a bit of damage on his front right side. So, I mean, maybe a contact with the wall, getting the quick repair, still not found in his pit box. So that could really play a big factor. Well, currently, look at it. Matthew Dench absolutely clearing the field. And, I mean, if that is a race where you really want to show your pace, your precision, and your abilities, I mean, Detroit on this calendar might be one of them, and seeing how tough and how difficult this racetrack is.
And this is a race where you have to. I mean, you simply have to in a place like Detroit Belle Isle. You've got to start up front so that you're not in those battles when something goes awry, when you have the little bits of contact that we will inevitably see throughout the course of the evening. Not quite 5 minutes into this race, Matthew Dench goes purple, leading the way. Jackson Resende almost 2 seconds back already. Clearly, Matthew Dench has done his homework and has got that McLaren figured out. We are on board with Pedro de Oliveira S, somebody who's got 2 race wins in the season. This is the furthest back I think we've ever seen him in a race.
Yeah, exactly. He's used to starting up in pole position. And, I mean, that was not a great qualifying session for him. It was a fantastic qualifying session when you consider the caliber of this grid. But now we're going to see another side of him, you know, the one that didn't qualify so well, but is going to be trying to fight back through the field in one of the most difficult courses to overtake on the season, and is going to have to pass a fellow Brazilian first, Fabio Zamperlini, our reigning champion, if he wants to get it within that top 5.
Stay on board with Pedro. To turn number 7, lap number 4 already. These guys do rattle off lap times decently quickly here. Oh man, that was sideways for Fabio out of turn 8. But the record is what, a 106, I said, a 107, right around there. These guys turn 127s, 126s, so 20 seconds behind an Indy car, but still pretty solid lap times. They rattle off lap times pretty quick, and with the extra 10 minutes, we'll go an extra, it looks like, 7 or so laps.
It could really play a big factor. Some of these drivers obviously used to the usual 50 minutes. 7 laps can make a huge difference in one's race, so it's going to be interesting to see how they'll tackle it. Obviously, you're going for the essentially last lap dive, the last lap move. You're going to have to delay that by 10 minutes, so it's going to be 10 more minutes of patience, learning, and I mean, it could pay off for some, it could really not for others.
This falls back to Mark Scott. This is 11th place, defending over 12th. Take him, going to look up the inside. Oh, thought about pressing the issue, but Mark Scott closes that door just in time in turn number 3. Great defense there for Mark. They'll continue working on through this set of corners into turn number 5 now. Take him, still looking to see if he can roll back up to this at 166. The move is going to have to come in turn 7, I think.
Yeah, it's going to have to come from turn 7 and quite a long way back. I mean, he's going to have to be really confident on the brake if he wants to get past that Porsche. Obviously a different class, so it should be interesting to see how they'll tackle this. If Mark decides to really defend this position, and I mean, only time will tell. It could be very interesting because he's defending this position from another pro driver that is ahead of him. It could really play a big factor, couldn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure Mark is thinking, maybe that was not a great turn 11. I'm sure Mark is thinking a little bit about maybe trying to help out his son ahead of him, but really, I think the big thing for Mark Scott is he's leading amateur right now, and he wants to hang on to all the points he can get. This is big for his season if he can take him behind him, because while, yes, they are in separate classes, that point still matters the same to Mark Scott. They are still battling for that point just the same. It's just that they are broken down into different categories once they're all scored. So really big here for Mark Scott to try and keep this position, overtake him, and this might back take him up to the clutches of Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez.
Yeah, 100%. And this is also going to be really good for Scott to practice even more how to drive under pressure. We saw him making a few mistakes in the last sector of the racetrack. And I mean, this is big. Whenever you have a faster driver, a more aggressive driver when you're back in, it really does make you a bit nervous, but it also really helps you grow in night racing. And not only night racing, it helps you grow to develop more under pressure. And this could really help him out. Currently, he's doing a fantastic job, if I may add, in a Porsche defending against the Ferrari. If he can do this more, he's going to be backing off Take Him, as you mentioned. And, well, the racing is only going to get better.
Through turn 7, now turn 8. You can see the rear rotors in that Porsche glowing red, so clearly rear brake is going to matter a lot to these guys tonight. We've got to dial in that extra rear brake bias, try and move the braking from the front to the back, and that just allows them to be a little more aggressive and try and chuck the car to corners almost like a go-kart. Usually with go-karts, you have one rear brake on the rear axle, and that allows you to get on the brake, stand on the brake a little bit, set the nose, and chuck it into a corner. And I think we're going to see a lot of that out of these guys. Even though these are full-body GT3 cars, they weigh a ton, and they handle like garbage sometimes. It's going to help to be able to chuck the cars into the corners a little bit in a place like Detroit.
Yeah, exactly. It could really help you get, as you mentioned, the car turned in, getting the nose pointed in the right direction. But it also can be really tricky. If you just press a bit too hard on those rear brakes, the rear can just spin out on you. And, well, in Detroit, there's not a lot of runoff areas. As you can see, it's just concrete walls after concrete walls, so it could really pay off. As we're looking at Jackson Resende, it looks like he has built a healthy gap to Rob Rodriguez right behind him. Rob is kind of falling under pressure as we do have a Ferrari spinning around. Is that on turn 3? Yes, it is.
Yep, that was at turn number 3. John Sedlak, a quick spinaroo, gets back going. It looks like he dropped about 6 positions there. He was 17th. It's actually 5 positions. He'll drop now to 22nd as you saw Evan San Diego go on by and relegate the 03 to 22nd spot. There's some troubles there. One of the cars that has started from the pit lane, Guillaume Caratoni, is now up to 26th position. Did not take a qualifying time. Started from the pits. Already working through this field in his newly assigned pro number.
Yeah, this is a really good race so far for him. Only 10 minutes in, barely 10 minutes in. And he's doing a fantastic job while fighting through the field. As Jackson Resende now sets the fastest lap of the race, so he's kind of responding to the pace that Matthew Dench set in earlier. But this new co-driver, well, he might be making headlines in the future if he keeps up this pace.
Of course, picking up that win last week, last time out at Spa 2 weeks ago in the amateur category. Pretty big for him. Well, obviously the reason that he was promoted into this pro division in the first place. Further back, Ian Ward, somebody that we saw battling with Guillermo a little while ago, is now trying to work on Armando Bejaran. This is for the 27th position overall, and they are in the same category, both amateurs.
Both amateurs, but really different cars. One is from the same nationality, but really different cars, really a different build machines. One is a BMW front engine, and one is a mid-engine Porsche. Does he get quite loose? No, he gets a really good exit out of turn 2. He's going to be forced on the outside of turn 3. However, can he brave around the outside, or will he try to do, as you like to call, Andrew, an over and under? He braves around the outside, and he's going to make it work.
Yeah, Armando facilitated that in a really nice way. A lot of drivers, they get stuck in always defending, always racing for the spot, but Armando realized there that Ian Ward caught him for a reason. Caught him because he was faster, and Ian scrapes the wall a little bit there out of turn 5, but no harm, no foul. Continues on to that Porsche. Brilliant heads-up move, solid race craft there from Armando Bejaran, and this is not what you want to see in turn 7. Austin Powell, who had a great outing at Spa, backwards.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, that's going to be setting him back a few positions. Looks like not a lot of damage to the Porsche. We're going to see exactly what happened on our replay. Did he get touched? Was it all by himself? We're going to take a look as we have a replay. So he does have a few drivers behind him. Does he get a little push from behind?
Oh no, he just turned left into the wall, misses the braking zone. Great bail to miss that concrete wall. Great move there, but everything leading up to it was a little bit questionable.
Yeah, it was a bit sloppy on his end on the entry. He got quite confused. I mean, it was last minute he decided to ditch and go for the escape road, but that was that was the right move, and luckily for him, not a lot of damage, but unfortunately, that hit that he got into the wall. Did he hit the wall, actually? I wasn't quite sure.
I don't think so. This will be another look at it. This is a little further back. This is going to be the whole lead up. This is turn 4, and we're still watching here with Austin Powell. We'll take on board here. So, works through turn 5. Everything is looking nice. He's leading this group of cars, as you kind of mentioned. A little bit of scrape to the wall there. No harm, no foul. Continues on. This is leading Mike Braun as well. Down to turn 7. Let's just go on board and listen and see if we can pick out what goes wrong. Yeah, just miscalculates. Runs into the wall on the left. And misses that tire barrier in turn 7. That really could have damaged his race in more ways than one. Obviously, damage to the car, but man, that could have been so much worse.
Yeah, with that initial hit on the wall, I'm not pretty sure if he's going to have suspension damage, but if he hit that tire barrier at that speed, it wasn't going to be race over, but it could really jeopardize his race early on. And luckily for him, not a lot of damage. Is his steering bent, however?
I think so.
Yeah, it is. You can see just, yeah. Unfortunately for him, that's going to be costing him at least a few tenths of a second per lap.
I think it is ever so slightly bent. It is, as you mentioned, going to be an issue for Austin Powell, especially at a street course. You can usually get through it on a normal road course, but at a place like Detroit, Belle Isle, Long Beach, wherever else, that's going to be a big issue. Here comes Guillaume Caratoni to work on by. This is for 24th now, and the spot goes easily.
Yeah, there we go. So he's going to have to yield some positions right now. He cannot afford to be that aggressive. If he picks up more damage on that Porsche, it could force him down into pit lane, as we do have Mikael Rudebusch, looks like trying to get past Rob Rodriguez right now, as Rice Rodriguez, right? So Rice looks like he's losing a bit of time to Jackson and now falling into under pressure from not only Rudebusch, but also looks like Zamperlini and Pedro de Oliveira.
This is already coming around to wrap up another lap. On board with Bryce Rodriguez, looking at Mikael Rudebusch behind, was Fabio Zamperlini, Pedro de Oliveira, and even Scott Reister is somewhat close behind. So this train of cars, maybe you could make a case being held up by Bryce Rodriguez, but also that's street course racing. You guys get in the line and you have to settle.
Yeah, exactly. You have to settle and you have to adapt your strategy. At one point, you were meant to go flat out. This is the time to adapt and go for plan B, C, D, the whole alphabet, if you mind. And I mean, just switch it up. Do something different to get past. If you cannot get past on track, you have to do an own strategy. So these drivers are definitely going to be thinking about one of those extra plans. But Rodriguez seems really confident. It seems really, I guess, committed to stay with that position, get to track position, which is so important on this racetrack. So good for him, but he's just gonna have to defend. We're gonna have to see how aggressive Mikael Rudebusch is gonna have to be to try and get past him.
Brian DeVries working by that lapped car. There we go. Gets on by finally. That held him up a little bit into turn 7, but for the most part gets on by nicely and cleanly. Austin Powell visiting the pit lane now to repair that damage that we saw him pick up in turn 7. So glad that his race is going to get back on track, hopefully very, very, very soon, as these guys continue to work around the racetrack in a nice little train. When do they pit? That's the question. I would assume in about 3 minutes, maybe a little bit less, try and shortcut a little bit, but at the same time, they can probably go to about, oh man, I want to say 24 minutes into this race.
I was just going to ask that, when will they pit? Obviously, if you're saving fuel, you're going to go a little bit longer. And as you mentioned, the undercut could be quite powerful. If Mikael Rudebusch has the pace, or even Fabio Zamperlini and Pedro de Oliveira, if they have the pace, they could try go for an undercut. But the problem is, since this is not quite a long track, you could fall into traffic, which definitely will negate any sort of action from the undercut. So they're going to have to think about it, probably talk to their spotters, the race engineers or something, and figure something out. As we're looking at a 3-car battle, is this for the top 10?
Well, that is Mark Scott in the black and red Porsche. He's now dropped a couple of spots. He's in 13th overall, but still leading amateur. But Diego Era, who's been working on the race, just working up to Mark Scott. This is now a battle for the amateur lead. This is big.
Yeah, this is gonna be big. We're gonna have to see too. Oh, he's gonna go down the inside of turn 7. Can he make that move stick?
Oh,
No. Oh yeah.
That was good pressure.
Yeah, that was good. The Porsche really, I mean, Scott really closed the door. Oh, the Ferrari. Is that a Ferrari or is that an Audi? Oh, that's an Audi. Went quite a bit wide. Luckily for him, didn't hit the barrier. So it looks like this battle is gonna erupt soon. I'm thinking about a move down into either turn 3 or turn 7.
How long does Brian Long sit behind these two? He's third. These guys are all on a line. The number 166, the number 177, and the number 176. In a line here for first, second, and third in amateur. How patient are they going to be early in this race?
Yeah, exactly. You have to kind of balance out the pressure that you're going to give and how patient you're going to get. And yeah, you're just going to have to balance it out. Looks like...
Yeah, we lost Diego into turn 1, and he has not come back yet.
Oh, this is going to be big. That's unfortunate.
And we've seen it before where a driver is blinked out. We notice him dropping to the stand. We've not seen it live, though. we've not seen a driver just suddenly drop from the racetrack, but I think we've just lost Diego out of this battle for the lead. I mean, how heartbreaking is that? You're literally battling Mark Scott for the race lead in your category. Still 40 minutes to go in the race, and suddenly you're not battling him. You're not even in the race anymore. You're just gone.
Yeah, that's going to be heartbreaking for him. We saw that happening to a few other drivers. I mean, Matthew Dench kind of knows how that feels, unfortunately for him. He dropped off from the lead once, didn't he? So, yeah. I mean, that's even heartbreaking.
That was Donington, right? The season finale.
Yes, on the season finale. He was going to win the title and dropped off. So, yeah, I mean, if you wanted someone to talk to, Matthew Dench definitely will be a good listen and a good tip. And just as we mentioned him, look at him.
They're responding to Jackson's earlier purple lap time. You can see the gap, still about 2 seconds between these two. We've not talked much about them, as Blake Scott coming in right at the third mark. I'm used to saying quarter or half. Right at the third mark, we get Blake Scott in the pit lane. This is kind of big. He pits from 10th position. He's bringing
there
more.
You go. Yeah,
brings his father and Brian Long.
Oh, he's gonna be bringing. Look at it, just keeps on coming. So GT cars all over the pit lane. This is going to open up the pit window, so we do expect the leaders to come at any point in time, as we do have all sorts of brands. So it's not only the Lamborghini that is thirsty on fuel, coffee as well on the pit lane. And, well, I mean, everybody's going to be coming in on the next few laps, looks like it. It's just a question of when will the leaders come, and will that change anything?
Joshua Benjamin is in the number 178. He looks for his box, is in, and will get service. You can see Pablo Ferretti right in front of him. Pablo Ferretti works out the pit lane. A 1383 in the box. How does that compare to drivers ahead? Ooh, it's a little bit quicker. Maybe something to watch here for Pablo Ferretti.
Yeah, it could be a different strategy. If he can save a bit of fuel, he could probably put less fuel. I mean, he did put less fuel maybe on his stop that could pay off for the second stop that they do later on. And, oh, looks like a bit of damage on the Ferrari. Damage. Yeah, I was just going to mention Rob Rodriguez. Did he get hit from behind or rear-ended the barrier, essentially? Maybe a touch from the wall?
Hard to say. I'd imagine, yeah, likely back that car into the fence. Here's Fabio Zamperlini, reigning pro champion, into the pit lane. He's going to take him along with. There's the white Ferrari, number 277 that we've got used to seeing now. And I would imagine they will have plenty more visiting them. Here comes Mike Braun into the pit lane.
Some drivers already using their fast repair. Take him, I'm pretty sure.
Well, they get two. That's something I forgot to mention. They do get two in this race. 2 pit stops, 2 fast repairs.
That's going to be a lifesaver for some of them. Again, obviously, we saw how easy it is to get to do mistakes and get damage on this racetrack. The 107 already leaving his pit lane. Looks like it's quite early. So, just a question. I mean, Fabio Zamperlini was the first one to pit within the leaders. Now, when will the rest come?
Well, here comes Armando Bejaran, and again, likely some more. Here comes Johnny Jones into the pit lane. He's going to bring Rob Rodriguez that we saw a lap ago. Here's a driver we have not seen at all yet this season, Johnny Jones. He's, you could call it a home race because it's on home turf. He is an American out of the Mid-South. Good to see him in the race then. But yeah, we have not, I don't think we've said Johnny Jones much aside from results and grids. Good to see him in a pretty solid position. He's going to have to work back through the field a little bit after this pit stop, of course. But he came in better than 29th, like it says on the windshield, because he lost some spots once he pitted. And here comes our race leader, who had to check up right there. Matthew Dench was coming into his box, and you saw the previous car, Johnny Jones, leaving his box. That checked him up a good bit. Jackson Rosende is also in. Among other leaders, they're all in. Bryce Rodriguez, Mikael Rudebush, Pedro de Oliveira S, Scott Reister, Brian DeVries, Scott Kimbrough. The list goes on and on. The entire top 10 pitting on the same lap.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's in the same lap. They should essentially filter out in the same position if they all fill up the tank. Obviously, they only have 35% fuel loads. Looks like Jackson Rosende came in a bit closer. I'm not 100% sure. Looks like everybody kind of filters in together. Oh, look at Fabio Zamperlini. Can he get a move down into the top 3?
Carries a little more momentum. Has to check up for Mikael Rudebush for the moment. Looks to the outside into turn number 3. Where does he go? Nowhere yet. And Pedro de Oliveira S has jumped these guys. Pedro has used the pit stop, but he is loose out of turn 4. This is a big opportunity for Bryce Rodriguez to get back in front of two-time race winner Pedro de Oliveira.
So maybe under fueling for the first stop, that could play out huge for him, because we know how difficult it is to overtake. If he's using that track position for his advantage to save fuel during this second stint, well, this could be an amazing strategy, but he's gonna have to fend off from Rodriguez right behind him, and if he's saving fuel, Rodriguez is gonna be on full gas, on full on attack mode to get him.
And Bryce Rodriguez, somebody who's really come alive lately, checked into the last end of last season, earlier on this year in 2021. He's shaping up for a fantastic end to 2021, a beginning to 2022 potentially. Bryce Rodriguez has really turned some heads as of late. Love what I'm seeing out of that Ferrari. Now trying to challenge and get back into third, back on the podium.
I love seeing that Ferrari. That literally looks absolutely stunning. And, well, he's going to have to show some aggressiveness here right now. If he couldn't get past Jackson Rosende, he's going to try to get past his teammate. But looks like Pedro's kind of checking off just a tiny bit. And Rudebush as well, losing just a bit of touch, as well as Fabio Zamperlini. So they're all going to filter out back into a train. But looks like that train has quite... Well, the gaps are quite closer, aren't they?
Maybe. It's really hard to say. I'm not going to lie, wasn't paying the most attention to the gaps necessarily when they came in, but they look about equidistant. It's about how close you can follow at a street course, right? It's very similar to Bathurst, where you've got to get in the line and work through the top of the hill. You can't really pass up there. There's limited opportunities, so you just got to set these guys up, work at them for a few laps, and make best use of these pit stops. And they will all have to pit again. We'll flip back here to a battle between Kevin Sandiego and Pablo Ferretti, but everybody has to pit a second time here at Detroit. That's really going to change things.
Yeah, that's going to change a lot of things. Some drivers that pitted early are also going to be pitting early and taking more fuel. Those drivers that elected to pit later, well, they have a bit of choice. They can pit really early as soon as the pit window opens, or they can really stretch out their fuel depending on how the race is going to unveil for them. And, well, I mean, we're going to find out in around 14, 15 minutes how that's all going to play off, and I'm really, really interested to see.
Working through this race almost to halfway. Remember that full course yellow we saw at Barber a few days ago, back on Sunday? What if we had one here? Just what if? Could you imagine a restart here?
A competition car show? Well, could we have some of that, please, race admins? It could really throw off someone.
It'd be interesting, that's for sure. Another position battle we have to watch is going to be back here. Mark Scott and Brian Long. Brian Long, I don't know where this comes from. He's been sitting back about, much like not Johnny Jones. Who did we talk about earlier?
Johnny Jones.
Well, yes, but there's somebody else in the top 10. Was it Johnny Jones?
Yeah, pretty sure it was on the pit lane, wasn't it?
The outside show. Life of me, This is very odd. I'm not usually at a complete loss. The number 115, Sonny Brown. That's who I talked about. And unfortunately, I can't update you. Sonny Brown is out of this race, 7 laps down. But Sonny Brown and Brian Long remind me of one another. Very quiet, but they work on their cars, they work on their race, they keep to themselves, they race the racetrack, they keep themselves in a great position. Somebody who's not in a great position right now is Tae Kim, who's spun around right ahead of these guys. You can see the smoke in the air a little bit. There's Tae Kim right at the apex of turn 11. Tae Kim has just gone around.
Does he have a lot of damage though? It looks like he went around in turns 8 and 9. Looks like that complex. Really tricky complex, really bumpy, under braking, the car's under load, so it could really play off a big factor. We're gonna take a look at the replay to see what happened.
This is into turn 7. Tae Kim works right to the curbing there. This will be turn 8. Looks okay for now. Goes around in either 9 or 10. Yeah, the car just starts to get loose in 9. Here comes Blake Scott. Oh, that's a Code Brown moment, especially for Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez, who worked on by there. Up onto the curbing, and Tae Kim gets back going. Then suddenly he's got cars behind him.
Yeah, he's going to have to defend all over again. So unfortunately for him, a small mistake. As we mentioned, under braking and under quite big potholes. This track is completely not even there, so it could play a big factor. Looks like this is a battle for, I'm not quite sure here. You're going to have to confirm it with me. But it's another
Antonio Ramos in 16th.
Oh. There we go.
And Pablo Ferretti in 17th, and then Kevin Sandiego in 18th. And Kevin Sandiego's been all over Pablo for a little while, but Pablo has gone up and caught Jose Antonio Ramos.
So that's how you deal with pressure. You just press the gas harder, you catch the guy ahead, and then you start applying pressure. So this, oh, that Audi came really close to that barrier. So the driver is taking quite a bit of a limit, challenging. Oh, as we do have a car spinning around.
Yeah, that was Kevin Sandiego behind these two. He'll get back going, maybe. Yeah, he does. The Dark Horse Esports car. Here comes more. And, oh, Guillaume Caratoni checks up. Heard some crunching behind. Maybe it was just the San Diego machine settling back onto the pavement, but, boy, that could have been bad.
It could have been really bad seeing Ferrari catching up with another Ferrari, especially Garatoni. As it looks like they're 174. Is he back for his second stop?
Jose Antonio Ramos is in for the... Confirm. This is the first time? This is the first time he's pitted, and this is almost halfway.
Are we seeing a one-stop strategy developing?
Ow. Okay, no, it has updated. He has now made two pit stops. I was very concerned, but this is still very odd that he's pitting this early on in the race. Well, we got a problem. Tae Kim is, I guess, not a problem necessarily, in for a pit stop.
Well, so unfortunately for him,
no, this is a problem. This was a tow.
So maybe bigger damage. Maybe he hit the wall even harder. Looks like that car is bumped up in both sides.
And he just bumped the session after a tow. It'll be a look at things for Tae Kim. Really unfortunate for somebody who looked so strong earlier in the race. Got the grass a little bit on turn 3. You can see Mark Scott suddenly had company behind from Brian Long. So a battle for our amateur lead as this happens to Tae Kim. Is it going to be in turn 6 maybe? Yep, just decides he's done.
Oh, maybe just too much damage to carry on. Not worth it for him. Unfortunately, we're going to be losing a pro driver. That's going to hurt his championship chances a little bit. Running in the top 10, and that's how quickly things can turn. You running the top 10. Oh, what is that?
Oh, no. Mikkel Rudebusch. Broadside down Central Ave. Oh, and 2 cars come through. Those were our amateur leaders that just came through, plowed the wall. There comes William Coffey, who has to take evasive action. Pablo Ferretti behind. Oh, my goodness.
I'm just going to go for a wild guess. I'm pretty sure he just caught those bumps in turn 2, and unfortunately that's going to be it for him. So dropping from 5th place well outside the top 10 now.
That's big for Mikkel Rudebusch. This is the first misstep we've seen in his NARL career, and it's going to happen because of some lap cars potentially mixing things up. You see, he's still following Bryce Rodriguez. Oh, look at this gaggle. We'll have to go revisit our leaders in a moment because this is insane. This is working by Sean Powell, I believe, in the Lamborghini ahead, and it's going to happen in turns 1 and 2. The evasive move there from Bryce Rodriguez. Mikkel looks to the inside in turn 1. Does he just make a mistake here? Oh, there's the checkup. He plows into Rodriguez and goes for a spin.
Oh, that's really, really unfortunate. He does well to hold on and lose the positions to get back safely on the racetrack, so that's going to be good for him. But, you know, with these lap cars, things are going to change. Being in a race 10 minutes longer, that's all he needs. Now we're gonna take a look at from his onboard. You can see the driver ahead of him just checks up, and a bump unfortunately spins him around. Luckily for him, didn't hit the concrete barrier. Looks like it.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I'm not sure why Bryce opted to go right behind that Audi, that slower Audi. That's very odd, as looks like Blake Scott is having some connection issues, working through it the best as he can, but that's very odd to me that Bryce decided to go behind that lapped car. Maybe it's me being a NASCAR guy, an oval guy, where you're able to use 2-3 lines and going around the outside is a bit more normal. I don't know, but that just seemed very odd to go right behind the slower car in turn 2. He was already offset on entry, backed up his apex, and stuck it behind that car. I don't understand that a whole lot.
Maybe he just misjudged trying to get the over and under, trying to get a better exit overall, compromising his entry, and just misjudged the apex speed of the left car. Anyway, as you mentioned, it was a weird choice, and unfortunately got a huge consequence. Luckily enough for him, though, this one is that Angelico?
That was Angelico, yeah. Stopping in turn 11, that was 12. Just letting everybody go by. I get it, but that's an odd one.
Yeah, that's not how you usually respond to blue flags, but hey, if it worked, if it didn't compromise a lot of people, I guess that's gonna be okay. Weird choice though.
While all of this has happened, a lead change in amateur. Brian Long. Yes, Brian Long. I see Ashley Nelms out there. I see another fan. I don't know how to pronounce your username. I'm sorry. I see plenty of Brian Long fans in the chat cheering on Brian Long. Well, here he is. He is your amateur leader currently in this race. He is 11th on track, first in amateur, just past Mark Scott, and is in front of William Coffey. This is big time stuff for Brian Long right now.
He not only got past, he's driving off. Look at the gap he's already building, so really, really good performance for him. And I mean, if he keeps this up, he may be looking at a spot in the top 10 soon enough.
Really solid day so far for him, just keeping the car clean, keeping the car moving in the right direction, and that's what I talked about in the pre-race. That's what I talked about in my opening spiel. Keep the car clean, use attrition to get to the end of this race, and put yourself in a good spot, and usually things will work out. Here comes Mikkel Rudebusch passing William Coffey, and Mikkel is definitely seeing a bit of red.
Yeah, now he's going to be on attack mode. That rear wing is definitely damaged a little bit. So he's going to be pushing at all costs, trying to get back to the top 10, to try and get back that consistency. He still has 25 minutes left, so he still has plenty of time to overtake some of these drivers. He's going to be closing in soon to our top 2 in the amateur class.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be talking about.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how this will develop and how they respond to it. I mean, this could be an interesting opportunity for Scott to just allow Rudebusch to get past and kind of use him as a tow to get close to Brian Long.
Here's a couple of cars nose to tail through the fountain section of the racetrack. This is Jose Antonio Ramos. No, just Jose Antonio Ramos. Always get that one confused, at least once in a race. Jose Antonio Ramos just went on by Armando Bejaran. That is good for 24th on the racetrack, and you can see Ian Ward is behind these two. These are the final cars on the lead lap, so somewhere just a little further back is where you get Matthew Dench. And you can see he's coming into a very similar section of the racetrack because, well, he's right behind him.
Yeah, Matthew Dench absolutely driving off into the distance as I'm having a bit of trouble here with the mic. I mean, can we talk about his race so far? We haven't even touched the leader so far, and that's not something we're used to. Oh!
William Valdez turned around there. He escapes. Somebody else was still there. That was Radhamas, I think. Yes, Radhamas Rodriguez destroyed. Wow.
That's going to have big implications.
There's Jackson Rosende going on by, and it looks like Rob Rodriguez behind. This is really big.
Yeah, this is really going to play off. It's going to be interesting to see what happened in the replay because that's big, big damage.
We're going to start on board with Radhamas Rodriguez in the SDS Racing Ferrari, it looks like. Yep, out of Florida. Radhamas is going to come up on all of this happening in turn number 2. Something else had happened, and just clobbers him.
Oh, that's really, really unfortunate for him. Absolutely no chance of avoiding that.
That was William Valdez who was sitting there, broadside of the racetrack. What happened? What in the world happens? He was slow on the far end of the speedway. Here comes Joshua Benjamin, and I saw them side by side up ahead. I'd imagine these two have some contact, as we just had a pit stop, it looks like, for Guillaume Caratoni. He works back onto the speedway. Oh, Joshua Benjamin just missed the corner a bit. Bodied him off the track.
Oh, and I mean, he just couldn't hold it, could he?
That's the biggest incident I think we've seen all day.
This could be the biggest. Oh, I was gonna say the biggest incident of the race, but of the season. But that was Spa a few weeks ago. But still, a massive crash for those two, and really unfortunate incident for those two. Obviously, they can take the tow and can take the fast repair, but I mean that's gonna be well over 2 minutes and a few laps lost for them. So quite unfortunate. Looks like we're gonna have. Is that Fabio Zepperlini? Yeah, Fabio Zepperlini chasing down Pedro de Oliveira. So he got past Rodriguez.
Yeah, that happened when Bryce Rodriguez and Mikel Rudebusch had their incident in turn 2. And that set Mikel for a spin. When that checkup all happened, I believe it just opened the door for Fabio down to turn number 3. We didn't see it on screen, but that's about what happened, and that opened things up as we just had a problem for Mark Scott. Is he spun? I think he just had a, yeah, he just, oh, that car is grabbing. Yeah. Oh, he is junk.
Is that on the exit of turn 2 as well?
That was, yeah, that was out of turn 2. Turn 2, the trouble spot, not just for Corvette pace cars, but clearly everybody else in this field right now. That's not going to last a whole lap. That is not going to last a lap.
Yeah, that's playing with danger, not only to his race, but also other drivers. And, I mean, he's going to have to let everybody through, but that's going to be dangerous as soon as he gets up to speed and still on that complex. But that Porsche is absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, it's the left rear that's really damaged. As he comes by here. The left rear is completely towed the wrong way. It's like he's got rear wheel steering, but only one of the wheels is spinning. As he's going to miss turn 7! Oh, that's tire barriers. Please, nobody hit him. Thankfully, nobody hits him. Pedro de Oliveira's on the pit lane. Let's go back and check this out for Mark Scott. Oh, this is really, really big. I got to find him again. Here should be. This is, yeah, here's Mark Scott. Mikel Rudebusch was getting on by. We had seen Mikel catching him. I really hope Mikel doesn't have contact here that sends him for a spin. That would be really, really poor.
Could be a move down into turn 1. Mikel's definitely close enough to have a little look. Looks like he got a better exit.
This looks.
Yeah, Mikel's gonna go down the inside. No, he doesn't. So, oh, Scott just kind of misses the braking zone and hits all by himself.
William Coffey.
But that was, well, is that all the damage? Looks like a bit of net code as well.
Yeah, the net code, I think, saves William Coffey, but the damage was obviously done for Mark Scott. And Mark Scott is done for the day.
So just as we talked about the pressure for him, as once he was from take him, unfortunately, I guess succumbed under pressure from Mikel Rudebusch, as we do have another BMW on the pits. That looks like it's scheduled, and that's Jose Ramos.
Yeah, so that driver, he had come in earlier on, I think, from damage, and had gotten fuel at an earlier pit stop. That's why we saw him pit so late, as here comes everybody else. Fabio Zamperlini, Bryce Rodriguez, Scott Reiser, they're coming in, and it looks like undercutting just a little bit, because the leaders have not pitted yet. They are just a little bit ahead of the curve by maybe a lap.
Yeah, exactly. This could play off, I guess, not that big, but this could be interesting, because we saw...
Oh, no.
Oh, no, is that... Oh, that's going to be Scott, isn't it?
Blake Scott. One or the other is... Oh, Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez is just populated. Oh, my goodness. I've just seen a preview to this incident. This is not one that you want to see.
So that's entering turn 7, if I'm not mistaken. Does he miss the braking zone? No, he gets it quite right.
It's going to be now entering turn 12.
Oh, no.
And it's going to be large. Here's Blake Scott. Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez is the Ferrari behind. Blake hits the curbing in 10 and 11. Slows him down, so now they're very close. Almost nose to tail. And this is where things go bad. Just misses the corner. Oh, my gosh.
No braking zone, essentially. No brakes. Oh, and that BMW nearly threads the needle. Does he get rear-ended as well? But that's going to be a terrible end for Blake Scott. So both drivers suffering issues out of their own within 3 laps.
And the car that came in was Chris Winstone, and the number 137, having a quiet day, is now 26th on the racetrack. You see, he rolls up on this and almost had a way through, and then Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez backs up into him. And I don't think he got plowed into from behind. That was everybody else coming in, and thankfully they played nicely and checked up. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's good stuff from the rest of the grid. Maybe the yellow flags, spotters, everything just came on the radio, because once you see a turned up, I guess a Lamborghini with its bottom side up, that's bad news for everybody. As we're back live, and we're going to see a move down into turn 1. Angelico, oh, not quite getting the move. Can he line up for turn 3?
I have bad news, because Jose Antonio Ramos has just returned to the pit lane. That was not for position, the battle we just saw. I want to clarify that. Yes, it was. What am I talking about? Yeah, that was for position, actually. That was Angelico trying to pass for position. See, when we had gone back live initially, because of how far Chris Winstone dropped a little bit and how far Angelico made up spots, they were scored initially 10 spots from each other. I didn't think that was for position. It is for position, as you can see
as
here.
the car's spun around.
Oh, my goodness. What is happening?
Everything is happening, it looks like, on the bottom end of this race. Is he going to collect anyone? Is that an Audi? I can't
That is
see
Billy
exactly.
Bowerman. That is an Audi.
Oh. So unfortunate for him, spun around nearly the exit of turn. That's going to be turn 4, 5, isn't it?
Yep. Now, well, that was turn 5. The car behind gets the wall a little bit. I believe, yes, Jackson Rossendi has just come into the pit lane. You can see him in his box along with Joshua Benjamin. Benjamin will roll. Rob Rodriguez has pitted. Ian Ward is in. And Rosende is going to roll. Rosende is going to come in behind. For the moment, it looks like Scott Kimbrough, who has not pitted just yet.
So Matthew Dench, DeFries, and Kimbrough haven't pitted yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how long they can go. Rosende may have underfueled. We're going to have to take a look at his stop time to compare to Matthew Dench, because if he underfueled, I guess his gap was around 3 seconds. So it's going to be a huge gap to make up during the pits, but he's crazy. We've seen him going for crazy strategies early on, and this is a track where you can afford to underfuel and yes, save fuel, especially in the middle sector.
The time to the car ahead is Scott Kimbrough is actually right behind Brian DeVries. These are the top few. A lot going on here. Julian Bell is into the pit lane now. There's a lot going on in this racetrack right now. This is a battle potentially for position. It is for position, it's just a matter of whether or not Scott Kimbrough wants to push before they come in and pit, because Matthew Dench is on the pit lane, and these two should follow.
Now this is going to be interesting.
Oh, closing right there for Kimbrough, right to the back end of DeVries. There's Matthew Dench. So we'll get things sort of back out into a more, I think, coherent way from this point on, as William Coffey and Julian Bell are doing battle now that they're back on the speedway. Here's Matthew Dench, a shorter pit stop than Jackson Rosende. The box time for Rosende, 12:3. The box time for Dench, 11:6. That is big for Matthew Dench. I don't think there's any way he loses this race without interference from somebody else or something else. With 14 minutes to go, thereabouts. Scott Reister is right with Brian DeVries. Oh, this is a busy straightaway. Central Avenue. Now to turn number 3. Reister on the outside. One car stops on the outside of the corner. This is a side-by-side for position, though. Reister gets on by DeVries. That car stopped. Oh, boy, we've got more cars in. This is San Diego instead, like in the pit lane. Wow, there's a lot happening. Bryce Rodriguez now going to go after Fabio Zamperlini. This is for third on the racetrack.
This is going to be a big battle with 13 minutes to go. I mean, this is essentially all or nothing. This would be the final 3 minutes of the race if it was a 50-minute race, but this is going to be a battle for the podium.
Absolutely right. This extra 10 minutes, this extra pit stop, really changing things up. I like this move. I really do like this move from the series. Give us a little bit of variety in the series. Give us a little bit extra something to talk about, as most everybody has made their final pit stop. Drivers we're waiting on include Dominic Angelico and Clarence Rosa. I don't think anybody else is still waiting to make their final pit stop of the race. I think everybody else should be good to the end, aside from maybe William Valdez, Guillermo Caratoni, and those are maybes. Maybe Daniel Hall as well.
So only time will tell if those drivers made the right call coming in quite a bit early, and if they're going to have the mileage essentially to back them up. The number 221 of Brian DeVries, he's trying to chase down, I'm not quite sure who that is, but that's going to be a battle for the top 5 at this moment in time. So quite a big haul of points up for grabs for a lot of these drivers. And I mean, they're not far away from the podium.
Angeliquio is in. DeVries is chasing Scott Reister, who used the pit stop to just get in front of DeVries by a little bit. The lane time was a second off for Reister. That's kind of impressive. He stayed in front of this 221 of DeVries. DeVries caught the wall a moment ago. You heard it. If you're one of the keen-eyed viewers, I suppose, and are used to the iRacing crunch sounds when there's contact, these guys are just behind Bryce Rodriguez and Fabio Zamperlini, in fact. So this is now a 4-car line.
Exactly, they're not far away from that podium position. So if those two ahead tangle up or they make a mistake, as we do have a left car getting out of the way, probably one of the trickiest corners to get out of the way without actually helping out. As you can see, a driver flashing his headlights. I'm pretty sure that was Brian DeVries. So, I mean, this battle is still definitely alive. If these two up tangle, those two behind him, well, they're definitely going to be thanking them. As you can see, Brian DeVries really blinking the headlights. He's really frustrated with the Audi driver ahead of him. He's going to get them moved on into turn 1.
And that was Clarence Rosa. And guys, if you're watching, if this is a driver watching back or a driver just watching for the first time that maybe isn't in this series, a big tip for you here. If you are a slower car, yes, the car is passing you. Initially, they want you to move. They want to go by. They want to save as much time as possible. But please, if you are a slower car, a lapped car, hold your line. Be predictable. What you can do to facilitate the pass is maybe be a little bit later to the throttle, maybe lift a little bit early into a braking zone. That's where you can do something a little bit out of the ordinary and let somebody by. But don't take a line that is way offline and actually bottlenecks you and somebody else, because unfortunately, Clarence Rosa just trying to do the right thing as there's Winstone. Winstone's got a big problem. He's had a massive impact, and he's got a reason to be slow right now because of all that damage. But don't slow down. Don't stop on the outside of a corner. It only stops you up, and somebody else comes around, and if you can't stop and let them all go by, and you get back onto the racetrack right in front of somebody, like we just saw Clarence Rosa do to Brian DeVries, that only holds up DeVries and takes him out of that battle. So drivers, again, if you are listening, please, please, please be predictable. Hold your line. That driver that's trying to pass you will, maybe subconsciously as opposed to consciously, maybe subconsciously more so appreciate you being safe on the racetrack than anything else. That is the key to multi-class racing. You gotta hold your line. Let the faster car have an open lane to get by, but be predictable. If they know the racing line, they know where you're going to be as long as you stick to that racing line, so they can work around you, and that's the thought process.
And you can also, obviously, when iRacing, you can use those buttons, pass left, pass right, to be more predictable and help out your fellow driver, your fellow competitors, to know which lane to choose, to go around the outside, to go down the inside, obviously helping you out. You can just, oh, that was a big moment there from Bryce Rodriguez. He nearly hit the wall on the exit of turn 7. That's going to make him fall under pressure from Scott Reister.
Scott Reister going to challenge it to turn 7 inside of 10 minutes to go. If this was a normal race, we would have just wrapped things up. Matthew Dent should be the victor. Ian Ward is in the pit lane again. Sean Patterson as well. Diego Eda is going to make up some spots. He's had some rough running ever since, well, obviously has come back in, actually. He dropped out much earlier in this race. So it's good to see, JP, that he's gotten back in this race, but, man, what could have been?
Exactly what could have been. We saw the difficulties that some of his competitors had. Obviously, Scott, unfortunately, DNF'd a massive hit, so he could have been in the lead of the race. Yeah. In the lead, he could have been in the top 10. Look at what Brian Long is after all those accidents happened, those incidents happened. Brian Long is in the overall top 10. That could have been him.
Could have, and that's going to sting a whole lot more when the day is done. Back up front, this is the battle we were just at, in fact. You can see Fabio Zamperlini, 0-3 on the windshield in front of these guys. 0-4 for Rodriguez. He's 4th place. It's not displayed on the BMW M4 just yet because that car is not completely finalized, but It is a beautiful BMW, I've got to say. We showcased it a few weeks back at our Watkins Glen race. It was showcased on social media. So some of the numbers aren't totally finalized for it, but it'll see proper competition, I believe, next year in 2022, and it'll fully be homologated.
It's going to be interesting to see how that car will race in real life, how competitive will be against the fellow GT3s. Certainly a controversial look, I guess, with the grills, but in my opinion, it's growing on me. It's a really good looking car and race car, and I guess it will fit. It kind of does really look really different from the Ferraris and Porsches we're kind of used to. Even the Audis doesn't look like a proper GT car, but it'll fit under the Bentley category, I guess.
BMWs are always a little bit bigger. I think the Z3 or the Z3 or Z4, if you will, those cars were a little bit more sporty, and of course they kind of spawned the new edition of the Toyota Supra, right? But they had a different pedigree. The normal, the M Series, BMW M Series, are always a little bit bigger. They're boxier cars, they're kind of sedans, and they work for GT racing. They just are a little bit bigger than their competitors. This is just outside the top 10. Second place now in amateur is Mike Braun, who is being pressured heavily by Kevin Sandiego. Mike Braun should be good to the end here. Brian Long pitted 2 laps prior to him, so we expect that Braun is well and good. Julian Bell, though, has an opportunity to use this amateur car of Mike Braun to try and get by Kevin Sandiego for position.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely going to be trying to use Kevin Sandiego right here, because that Ferrari is looking 100% racier than the Audi. He looks, I mean, to make a move soon. He looks really kind of impatient behind that Audi, and we're just going to have to wait to see if a move is going to be done down into turn 3. Obviously, you can't really make a move down into turns 1 and 2. Look at how much that Audi is holding him up. That's just allowing everybody to catch up. That Ferrari is going to be going around the outside. Will that Audi facilitate the move? Looks like yes, he will. He's backing off a little bit. He's going to be backing off to both of them, and does that safely. I guess he kind of assessed the pros and cons, and well, that's going to be the best result for him.
Another one of those situations where those two drivers caught him for a reason. They're faster, and that's something as a driver you've got to weigh in your mind. Yes, you're coming down to the end here. Yes, those points matter, but at the same time, those drivers were catching you for a reason. They're faster, and they're likely going to pass you anyways. Why hold them up? Why open up the opportunity for a crash, right? So a good move there from Mike Braun, lets them go on by. But Julian Bell, I'm sure, would have appreciated maybe a little bit more of a hold up for Kevin Sandiego.
Yeah, 100%. Now, Andrew, while we were talking about the BMW, a question came into mind. Obviously, BMW still runs the M6 competition. Will this replace it?
Yeah. As far as GT3 goes, the M4 will take over for the BMW category, if you will, the BMW flagship car, whatever, you get the point. So I'm excited to see the BMW join IMSA, for example, here soon, and get into that GTD fold in IMSA, or the GT3 fold worldwide. I'm excited to see what the car can do. Another car that, of course, would be worth talking about and could potentially join these guys on the racetrack within a couple of years, Corvette C8.
I just saw the announcement.
Yeah, the Z06 GT3R was just unveiled and is going to be in GT3 and GTD competition. I believe just GTD competition next year with IMSA. And as of 2024, it'll be a customer car. People can buy it and go racing in it. And Bryce Rodriguez might use it because it looks like that Ferrari cannot get by the Audi right now. Bryce, I mean, he is there. He is pressuring Fabio into a mistake, and it's going to come at some point, I think.
Yeah, it may come sooner than later. It looks like Fabio's going to have to go defensive. That Ferrari may have the legs on the straight. Will he look down and move into turns 1? Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, he does have the legs. Not a move coming down into turns 1 and 2. But look at that build up. It's going to be extremely close. And, I mean, a move is coming really, really soon.
As you watch this battle go down, a reminder, these battles are always brought to you by Race Lab, Tam Livery, JS Consulting. Oh, Bryce Rodriguez up the inside in turn 3. He took a shot, and of course, you know what? Detroit's a hockey town. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Bryce Rodriguez certainly trying right here to get back on the podium, get back in front of Fabio Zamperlini. He's got to try it.
He definitely has to try it, especially with less than 4 minutes to go. They're on the countdown, the final few laps. This is all or nothing. This is literally all or nothing for some of these drivers. It looks like we're going to have moves being done left, right, and center, it looks like.
Scott Kimbrough's in this drive now. 5 cars in a line. This is incredible stuff.
The is going to be the best battle for the podium you're going to see in a while. And I mean, everybody's shooting up for that third position. They have to keep it clean. Fabio Zamperlini has to nail absolutely everything. Looks like that Audi is dropping completely off the pace at the moment.
Yeah, Fabio, I think, is really struggling right now with those tires. This is 10 minutes further than these drivers have ever pushed these tires in this league. As you can see, Fabio getting sideways out of turn 13. He's getting loose. He is pushing the tires as far as they can go. He's on that ragged edge right now. Under 3 minutes to go. 2 laps, maybe 3.
And that's going to be it for the longest race we had in NARL. But it's still 2 or 3 laps more for the Audi. Look at how much the Ferrari catches up. Is he going to be looking down into the inside? Once again into turn 3, not close enough. This time Fabio really closes the door. So the racing is going to get better and better as we are approaching less than 2 minutes to go.
Fantastic stuff from Detroit Belle Isle. Now, unfortunately, it's recently been announced that IndyCar is looking to move the Detroit Grand Prix from these grounds, but this is why this racetrack is so good and has held this race for years now for IndyCar. The duels at Detroit, and it's fantastic. Another look here for turn 7. Bryce can't do anything. Nails those curbs. This is turn 8. Where does the move come? We'll be coming around and potentially take the white flag in just mere moments. Matthew Dench is coming up to the start-finish line now. It might give him enough for 2 to go this time by.
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna. Yeah, 2 laps to go. So another lap on that McLaren, which looked planted. I mean, absolutely dominant drive so far. Unfortunately for Fabio, 2 more laps. He's gonna have to defend from that Ferrari. I mean, can he do it? He has held on so far, but that Ferrari may be getting impatient. And as soon as he sees the white flag next time by, well, it's literally gonna be all or nothing with 2 essentially overtaking zones to go.
And this is a line of 6 cars now. Pedro de Oliveira S has caught up. So it's Fabio Zamperlini 3rd, Bryce Rodriguez in 4th, then Scott Reister, Brian DeVries, Scott Kimbrough, Pedro de Oliveira S, all the way down through 8th. 3rd through 8th right now in a line. They've all got a shot at the podium. How about that?
This is the greatest battle I think we've seen all race long. Look at it. Isn't that fantastic to watch?
Each one of these cars in this line has a chance to finish 3rd. Matthew Dench is coming around to the start-finish line momentarily to take the white flag, but the focus right now, 3rd through 8th.
As looks like everybody's kind of gapping one another to try to make a move. This is all going to come down to the last lap. All these drivers now going to be feeling a huge amount of pressures, obviously, to not make a mistake, because if you make a mistake, look at how many positions you're going to lose and how much you risk a big incident. So quite a lot of pressure for these guys as we're 10 minutes to go. We're going to have the white flag for Matthew Dench waving at any moment in time.
There you go, final lap atop the scoring ticker on the left side of the screen. And the white flag presented by Tucson Sound Art is officially out for the entire field at Detroit Belle Isle. Their first trip here for the North American Racing League by Race Lab, Pam Liveries, and JS Consulting. And Matthew Dench has dominated this race. He's got a 5, almost 6-second lead over Jackson Resende. Another 11 seconds back to Fabio Zamperlini, and that's where things get a bit more exciting.
Yeah, and then the gap pretty much disappeared from 3rd backwards all the way down to Pedro de Oliveira. So, I mean, the gap is pretty much gone. Looks like 4th place. Looks like Rodriguez kind of gapped a little bit, Scott Reister. But, I mean, still very close till the end. Are we going to see any moves being made on this train?
So tough to pass here. So tough to pass. You've got to coax a driver into a mistake, and here we go. Bryce Rodriguez, one of his final great opportunities to try and do so on Fabio Zamperlini. Fabio has just opened up enough of a gap. It's like he knew what he was doing almost, like he's a champion. Worked that gap, backed up to him, and then drove back away on this final lap. Here's 4 cars in a line. 5th place through 8th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, all in a line through turn 9, then turn 10, then turn 11. They all work through the final clutches of this course, but up ahead, it is all Matthew Dench across the line. He wins again in this 2nd season.
Amazing performance. Jackson Resende is going to be finishing off 2nd. Fabio Zamperlini, he's already celebrating that 3rd place. We talked about pre-race how important it was for him to bounce back. That's exactly what he needed. Oh!
Wow.
Did we get a photo finish for the
That
back?
was 3 wide across the line. Wow. We'll go back and
Not
review that in a
something
moment.
Yeah, not something I expected from GT racing, especially around Detroit.
Here is your amateur race leader, just a few moments away from becoming your amateur race winner. Brian Long fans in the chat, get your keyboards ready. He's about to win his first race in the North American Racing League. Out of turn 13, turn 14, the number 176, Brian Long, is an amateur race winner at Detroit.
Another amazing race. I'm pretty sure it's going to be fantastic to talk to him. It's going to be fantastic to talk to him. I'm pretty sure he's ecstatic with that result. Amazing, amazing job for him, man. I mean, I'm pretty sure a well-deserved victory. Is that a Ferrari running out of fuel?
I think so. Kevin Sandiego just lost a spot to Julian Bell and Pablo Ferretti. Mike Braun will finish second in amateur competition. He comes across the line. He's now in turn 3. Pablo Ferretti takes a podium in amateur. How about that for Pablo Ferretti? After the troubles he went through today, to still finish 3rd in his class. That's impressive.
That's a fantastic result, and shows how much resilience can buy you in, can get you in GT racing. And I mean, Fabio Zamperlini as well, getting that podium. It's really good to see him back on the podium after not a great qualifying and not a great race till the end.
We've got to go back and review that finish behind. They came to the start-finish line in some pretty spectacular fashion. This will be the drive to the finish, I do believe, for each of these guys. What a finish we just saw. Flag stand, we'll go to the flag stand and let's slow this down. This will be slow-mo across the line. Wow, De Vries on the inside, it was Kimber on the outside, and Pedro de Oliveira was looking for it. Back that up. While we have these cameras, you can see across the line. That is the margin, not of victory, unfortunately, but of position for Brian De Vries in 6th over Scott Kimbrough in 7th. Officially, it comes down to 17/100ths of a second. Incredible.
Incredible indeed. I mean, that's the closest, I guess, finish we had. I mean, not even for the win, but for the points. That's fantastic.
Watch that one more time. I mean, that is just incredible. This will be from the inside now, looking at the flag stand, looking at Barney the flagman, and cars will come through. But just what an incredible day put on by the North American Racing League. It's pretty usual that we see these great races, pretty usual that we see these great finishes, but I can't believe this battle. There's Fabio. So Fabio comes across the line. There's Bryce Rodriguez. It was that close for 3rd and 4th. Then 5th place. Here comes Reister across the line to capture a top 5. Whereas wait for it, they had backed up a good bit.
Yeah, the battle between them kind of cost them a lot of time, but I mean, they're going to be coming. It's going to be really close. From this angle,
there's
sure
Reister.
Yeah, that's Reister. So they're going to be coming in any second. There we go. Look at it.
Slow this down. Stop it there. And if we go here, that resets the motion blur. That's incredible.
That's fantastic. That's going to be gutting for Kimbrough. But, I mean, after he looks at this, he probably will have a grin on his face looking at how close it was.
I would hope so, because that was properly incredible stuff to the finish at Detroit. But that is 60 minutes of racing in the books. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gents, because we've got post-race coverage now on the way for the North American Racing League, brought to you by RaceLab, TAM Liveries, and JS Consulting, and our partners here at PitStopTV, Tucson Sound Art, Permanent Makeup in Crywin, Maine, Whiplash Media, and BAM Racing Videos. Post-race coverage, interviews on the way from Detroit.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence. After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back to the virtual Detroit Grand Prix. Well, the virtual site of it anyways, the Belle Street Course in Detroit, sandwiched right between Michigan and Canada. In fact, looking across the Detroit River over there, that is Canada. Detroit and the rest of Michigan is behind us. Pretty incredible sight for a fantastic little street course and fantastic racing here at Belle Isle. A fantastic, and I really mean this every single time I say it, fantastic street course for a fantastic league. JP Costa and Trey Shuttlesworth on coverage with me today. It's been a fun one, a very fun one, a very fun ending. And JP, guess what? Instead of handing you the race winner for sake of linguistics, I get to speak to our race winner. Isn't that fun? I get to speak to Matthew Dench, and Matthew Dench is somebody that I think gained a lot of respect, a lot of extra respect today for being able to wheel the McLaren here for an hour straight. No mistakes, at least that we saw.
There was a couple of code brown moments during that race with the back markers, but yeah, managed to keep it off the walls and run away with that one.
And I kind of got into a little bit of a soapbox at one point about where back markers should go as a driver and as a race winner, clearly somebody who led every single lap today at Detroit. Where do you prefer a lap car to go? How do you prefer them to facilitate that path?
On a track like this, it's best if they just do their normal racing line, and then on the straights, if you're close enough, just breathe off the throttle and let you by before the next corner.
Of course, let's talk about the season a little bit. Watkins Glen didn't go great. Spa last week, a bit of a recovery drive, helped you out in the points a little bit. Then today, obviously, you get the pole, you get the win. This is exactly what I feel like Matthew Dench and everybody at Duck Hawk Racing, your new team, really needs in order to bounce back, get back into this championship fight. How do you look at this championship fight? How do you attack?
Just got to repeat this for the remainder of all of the rounds. So.
Well, we're going up to the UK next week, Silverstone Circuit. How do you look at Silverstone? Do you feel like you've got another chance to do this kind of performance? Feel like maybe it's a track yourself to work on? How does Matthew Dench get through Silverstone next week?
I think all of the tracks that are left for the season, I'm pretty familiar with, so it should be pretty good.
Of course, I'd imagine you've got your eye on one. That would be race number 7, Phillip Island. Do you set up for that one specifically to help catapult you back into championship contention? What do you look for there?
Yeah, Phillip Island should be an absolute blast. Done many laps there. It's very enjoyable.
Fair enough. That's Matthew Dench. Who makes it happen for you, buddy, over at Duck Hawk Racing and everything else?
Fabio and Spencer. It's pretty good over there, and my team RSR, Frank, we're all doing pretty well.
There you have it, Matthew Dench. Man, a few words. Just, I'd say happy to get this race win. Certainly, it sounds like it a little bit, and certainly well accomplished. Buddy, have a great night. We'll be talking to you, I'm sure, a lot more this season. Really cool to see you get this recovery drive.
All right, thank you. I'll see you next week.
Matthew Dench taking home victory at Detroit. We'll hand things right on down the line, then to Jackson Resende finishing second place.
Então, Jackson, mais uma vez falando contigo, muito bom falar contigo novamente. Me fala aí como é que foi tua corrida, parece que foi bem confortável em segundo lugar, infelizmente Matthew Dent ficou um pouco fora do alcance, mas me fala como é que foi.
Boa noite, João Paulo. Boa noite a todo mundo que está acompanhando a transmissão. Começando ali pelo quali ali, eu fiz uma primeira volta ali cautelosa, depois eu fui tentar fazer mais 2 voltas rápidas, eu acabei encostando no muro, mas a minha volta que eu fiz foi suficiente para largar na segunda posição. Aí no começo da corrida ali, o Matthew conseguiu abrir um pouquinho ali, só que a gente tinha um ritmo muito parecido, estava muito igual até na parada do box ali, mantendo aquela diferença ali de 2 segundos. Só que na saída do box aí da primeira parada ali, ele teve mais facilidade com os retardatários, de se livrar deles ali mais rápido. E acabou abrindo 5 segundos ali. Aí eu vi que não compensava arriscar tanto assim, porque estava confortável o segundo lugar. E foi isso, eu trazer o segundo lugar para casa aí, sem bater no muro. E só tenho a agradecer aí meus companheiros de equipe por estar treinando forte. E vamos para a próxima agora.
Obviamente, Detroit é uma pista muito traiçoeira, a gente viu vários carros perdendo controle, não batendo no muro, essas coisas. Quão difícil é essa pista, especialmente no Audi, e a gente viu o Matthew na McLaren, mas o Audi também é um carro bem traiçoeiro às vezes. Quão difícil é essa pista pra, eu acho que, tipo assim, masterizar ela, sabe, deixar ela à perfeição que nem você fez hoje?
Cara, de 0 a 10 eu diria uns 9,5, porque principalmente o Audi, ele é muito traseiro. Principalmente na primeira volta, para rodar é questão muito fácil de rodar. É muito difícil fazer 1 hora de corrida aqui sem errar.
Bom, eu garanto que continua muito difícil, mas conseguir um segundo lugar, o que é ótimo, vai muito te ajudar no campeonato, obviamente que vai ajudar full time também nos construtores, mas semana que vem em Silverstone, como é que você se prepara? A pista vai ficar um pouco mais confortável para você?
É melhor do que pista de rua já. Mas semana que vem vai ser bem corrido. Infelizmente tem o campeonato aqui no Brasil aqui, aí terça, quarta e quinta seguido tem corrida e eu vou ter que dar meus pulos para treinar.
Quero só ver como é que você vai desempenhar em todas elas. Eu te desejo toda a sorte do mundo em todas elas. Espero falar contigo semana que vem. Mas antes de deixar você ir embora e praticar para essas corridas, quem que você tem a agradecer?
Eu quero agradecer a Full Time por estar sempre aí nos apoiando e agradecer a B8 Seguros.
Bom, garanto que eles estão felizes e, bom, meus parabéns de novo pelo segundo lugar e espero falar contigo semana que vem.
Obrigado, eu também. Boa noite.
Boa noite, Jackson. So, Andrew, I mean, he was quite happy with second place. In quali, the first lap that we saw from him, he said it was the first cautious lap. He tried pushing on the second and third lap, but ended up invalidating them, touching the wall. At the start of the race, he said that his pace was equal, really similar to Matthew Dench. You know, it was hovering around 2-3 seconds. But after the pit cycle, Matthew got quite luckier with the lap traffic, and unfortunately for him, the gap increased to 5 seconds. And then he decided that it was not worth risking his second place to try and chase down Matthew. So he kind of just sit back and, I guess, ran his pace. You know, just minding the gap, all that sort of stuff. Talking about track difficulty, we all know this track is really difficult. He rated a 9.5 out of 10, so I mean, a tricky track, but luckily for him, no mistakes, no big mistakes for him, bagging him a second place. And I mean, he's confident for Silverstone. He said it's a better track, an easier track because it's not a road course, but he's gonna be full next week. He has actually races on Tuesday, Wednesday, and obviously Thursday here with us. So quite a big calendar. Is gonna be interesting to see how he'll, I guess, go on Silverstone with that busy schedule.
Only time will tell for Jax or Ascende. Either way, a very, very good day at Detroit for him. Move things down the line to our amateur race winner, Brian Long. YouTube chat was going a little bit crazy for you. Very, very happy to see the number 176 atop the amateur scoring pylon. But it was a very quiet day. You worked on through. It seemed like you were third, then you were second. Suddenly, no longer was Diego Etta in front of you. You just had to go contend with Mark Scott. He made a mistake. You were home free.
Yeah, man, I feel so bad for Diego. He's always kind of near me or usually in front of me, and so I knew with him in front it was going to be hard. And it was a bummer to see him get disconnected too, because he's been working so hard.
And I kind of mentioned that you remind me of a couple of other drivers in this series that tend to be really quiet, stay around the midfield, and then you have these runs like today. And I always see your YouTube following come in and certainly cheer you on, but this is the run we've been kind of waiting on. Do we see more races like this in the future, kind of move you up from that kind of midfield group?
Man, I hope so. A lot of those people that are in YouTube are just, they've just been supporting me. It's just friends and family who know I've been working really hard at it, and been working with Daniel Moorhead, getting some coaching like a lot of the other guys in the league, and that's been hugely helpful. And then just, trying to stay consistent. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I had a really bad result, just not putting enough laps in and didn't respect Spa enough, and so my results reflected that. But yeah, it's been 2 weeks just lap after lap trying to make sure that when we got in here I could at least not hit the wall, and it paid off.
And how is the practice regimen? Of course, it takes out the open setup deal. These are fixed setup races. It's just a matter of getting yourself accustomed to all the fixed setup for that racetrack. Well, same everywhere, right? It's the same downforce package. It's just a matter of how it handles that track. Do you test other cars, or is it always the BMW?
I've been sticking with the BMW just because I figured, consistency and comfort is going to be more important for me right now than trying to find those 2 or 3 tenths with, the Ferrari or the Audi or whatever. And practice is just 20, 30 minutes, put down as many laps as I can, as quick as I can, and then go back and, compare to compare to other guys in the league. There's any kind of telemetry out there I can compare, and just kind of seeing where the differences are, because like you said, it's all fixed, it's all the same. So if I'm making mistakes, if I'm going slower, I don't have a setup to blame, so it's very easy to just say, okay, here's where you're going slower, fix it. And I like that part about the fix series.
All right, buddy, I don't want to put you on the spot too bad. I don't want to jinx anything, but Silverstone next week, call your shot. Where do you finish, or whereabouts?
Goals, top 3. I want to finish as champion in top 3. I think I can do it, so that's where I'm going to aim for, and if I don't make it, oh well. Gonna try.
There you have it, Brian Long shooting for a top 3 next week. And I see Sim Racing for Simpletons on your door. Tell us about Sim Racing for Simpletons and anybody else on your car.
All right. So Sim Racing for Simpletons, or SR4S, it's a channel and a stream that I've been working on. I'm in kind of a pause mode because we're moving to a new state, and so I don't have my usual recording stuff. But I teach for for a job, and so I love to coach. And so I've been using it to kind of help keep myself accountable, and then also just kind of find easier ways to explain racing concepts to people who, maybe it's too complicated. If you're going to watch a coaching video or something, there's just all these technical terms. Just keep it simple. And then, we got lucky with a sponsor. Family friend wanted to be involved, and so they're covering like race fees and all that kind of fun stuff, and that's Signet America. And I'm really, really happy to have them. They've been helping a lot.
Absolutely, Brian. Thank you so much for your time. Congratulations, buddy. You're a race winner in the North American Racing League. That's got to feel pretty good. Live it up. Celebrate a little bit. And I'm sure you're going to get back and maybe teach a little bit tomorrow morning. But maybe don't live it up too much, but live it up.
Will do. Thanks, guys. Broadcasts are awesome. Keep it up.
Thanks again so much for your time. Brian D. Long, I almost said a champion, a race winner in the North American Racing League. That is really, really cool. And somebody who came in right behind him could be a winner next week, maybe. That Audi was looking good today. Mike Braun is alongside with JP Cox.
So Mike, a quiet race for you. We saw on times you were kind of under pressure from 2 or 3 cars. Experience, I guess, gave you the best to let them go. And a 4th place on your class quickly turned into a 2nd place after a DNF for both of our leaders. Talk us through your race.
Man, it was a crazy race. This is my first time ever running on this track, and I knew I needed to race my own race, and just if somebody faster came up, just let them go, and just keep the wheels underneath you, and it seemed to work out for me.
Well, isn't that a great result for your first time around? The next time will definitely be the win then. I mean, since this is your first time, how difficult was it to adapt and get the best out of your car, especially the Audi on a track like this one? And what made you choose the Audi?
I have to give all the credit to Scott Kimbrough for helping me out with everything I've got. All the Empire guys support each other. We all race together and practice together, and we bounce ideas off each other. And Scott's helped me out so much in the last 6-8 months, and he told me that that's the car I needed to do, and just basically, get out of my own way and just drive it and get used to it. And it seemed to work out. I had one little mistake where I spun out in front of William Coffey and got a little sideways, but I was able to correct it and get back without too much damage. But besides that, it was the whole idea was just keeping the rubber down underneath it and keep going straight.
There we go. That was a fantastic. I mean, if you even got a spin out, I'm not pretty sure. Andrew will confirm that later if you got that on the stream. But I mean, a fantastic race for you. The consistency is going to be the key, and running your own race will really pay off. Now, how will this differ from next week at Silverstone? That's a track where you have more overtaking opportunities. It's quite a larger track. Will your strategy differ over there?
I'll be honest with you. This is like my second full season of road racing, and a lot of the races in this series are brand new to me, and so I'm still learning so much. So I'll get back to the lab tomorrow and start running on Silverstone and come up with a game plan for it. But I'm just on a high right now. Just my goal this whole season was just to make a podium, and here it is. 4 races in.
There you go. You have an extra 4 races to shoot for a win. Don't give up, and I'm pretty sure you can do it. And obviously, with your teammates backing you up, it's going to be really good possibility in the future. And well, I hope we can talk to you in victory lane. But before I let you go, who do you have to thank for your result?
Oh man, well, I mean, first off, I got to thank my wife for putting up with all the shenanigans, and of course all the Empire guys for supporting me and helping me out with everything. Scott Reister for creating this amazing series. For you guys at PitStop doing just an incredible job. Cam Liveries for making the car look way better than I can actually drive it. I mean, that's just like my little group right there. I can't say enough for everybody that supports me.
I'm pretty sure they're ecstatic for your result here tonight. And well, we hope we can talk to you again next week, maybe in victory lane.
I look forward to it.
Well, Mike, thank you for your time. Well done in your race result, and well, see you next week.
Thank you.
Well, Andrew, that was a really happy Mike Braun with his result, and I mean, for the first time around in Belle, I mean, that's a result.
Yeah, it's a really good day for Mike Braun, Brian Long, and everybody else who worked their way through. Pablo Ferretti, also a really good day for Pablo, getting a top 3 in class. So some really good days for some drivers who really needed it. I think a big day as far as bringing up some amateur drivers that we hadn't really talked a whole lot about and giving them big days here at Detroit. Race results then from Detroit. Belle Isle, it's an interesting one. Matthew Dench finishing first, of course, taking home the race win. Backed up a little bit to Jackson Rosende, exercised that gap a little bit on the last lap, especially. Jackson Rosende just outside of 4.5 seconds back when it was all said and done. Fabio Zamperlini led that line of 6 cars to the checkers. He finishes third. Bryce Rodriguez fourth. What could have been for Bryce? I feel like if he had been able to get by Fabio on those later runs, I feel like he could have done a whole lot more. And how about Scott Reister in 5th, Brian DeVries and Scott Kimbrough 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and Pedro de Oliveira, he came out initially ahead of those guys. Remember, he was ahead of all of them. He came out of the pit lane after the first round of stops in 3rd, somehow falls back behind all of them into 8th position and drives back to them actually to finish 8th. I'd love to know the story there for Pedro. Regardless, he comes in just ahead of Mikael Rudebusch by, well, I say just ahead, quite a ways ahead of Mikael Rudebusch, and Brian Long, with his amateur win, takes a top 10.
In 11th place, we do have 2nd place in the amateur class, Mike Braun. Pablo Ferretti, 3rd place as well in 12th place. Julian Bell in 13th place, and Kevin San Diego, the last driver not to go a lap down, in 14th place. John Sadlak, Guilherme Caratoni, Blake Scott, and William Coffey are going to be finished off 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th respectively. Rob Rodriguez Jr. in the 226 is going to be finished off in 19th place, and Joshua Benjamin is going to be finished off in 20th place, again a lap down.
21st, Rahamas Rodriguez, good recovery for him from SDS Racing, and Johnny Jones comes in 22nd, solid day there. Dominique Angelicio finishes 23rd after some rough patches. Armando Bejar 24th. Daniel Hall 25th. William Valdez, after his big crash, ends up 26th, so a good recovery there, as well as for Clarence Rosa. Diego Era, who lost a couple of laps after his internet kind of get the best of him. Sean Patterson finishes 29th, and Kenneth Michael 30th.
31st is going to be going to Bailey Bowerman, 8 laps down. Ian Ward and Chris Winstone, both are going to be finishing off 10 laps down. Jose Antonio Ramos and Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez are both going to be finishing off 14 laps down. 16 laps down, we're going to have Mark Scott take him, unfortunately 22 laps down. Then Sonny Brown 38th, Austin Powell 39th, and Joshua Jensen 33 laps down in 40th place.
So all 40 cars that turned up, I think, had a pretty decent day going at least at one point or another. Joshua Jensen, Austin Powell, Sonny Brown, the first of the drivers out, unfortunately. Well, their days went awry pretty quickly, but they at least started out pretty decently. Great. We talked about the schedule earlier on, JP. Here's the rest of it, like we talked about. Silverstone next week, that's next up for these guys. The street course here in Detroit, already done and dusted. How incredible is that?
That was a fantastic race. The final 15-20 minutes were absolutely stunning, and I'm pretty sure the battle between those drivers is not over. It's going to carry all the way from Silverstone all the way to Road America and the championship as well. Probably we're going to be seeing a big turnaround in points, especially with the bad result of Pedro de Oliveira. I mean, the championship is only getting better and better.
And can you believe that we have one NARL race left before it's December?
And no, I actually just thought about it. Holy smokes, the year is nearly over. Yeah. But I mean, it's gonna be a big present, a big Christmas present, the finale at Road America.
Yeah, we're gonna be properly down to Christmas time by the time that comes around. I gotta get the Christmas lights up here in the studio. Get it looking like Santa Claus is coming to town or something like that. But that is the rest of the schedule. Silverstone, Hungaroring, Phillip Island, Road America. Some really solid racetracks coming up. Going to be exciting to see how things wrap up. We've got an exciting week coming up as well. The second race of the season for the BRPI Racing Series coming up at the Volusia Speedway Park at 8 p.m. Eastern on Monday evening. Again, race number 2. Race 1 was the Pete Costco Memorial Race. 117 laps. JP, 117 laps on dirt. It was wild. It's one that don't know dirt racing just yet, maybe go back and watch. Get accustomed to these guys because they've got a big season coming up. Then it's the Outlaws Sim Series. And hey, JP, you might have to go join these guys again for another Outlaws race. You helped out Emerson last night. Go join him again for this one because it's not just at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It is the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval race for these guys coming up later, well, in just under a week on Wednesday evening at 7:30 Eastern before we head back to Silverstone, back to the UK with the North American Racing League. Last time they were up in Great Britain was, of course, double check in my mind, right? It had to be Donington last season. I'm trying to think if there was another one. We opened the season. Monza, yes, thank you. Monza, the Watkins Glen spot. So yes, that will be our first trip back to the UK since the season finale back at Donington.
Well, it's going to be interesting. It could be a payback race if you think about it for Matthew Dench and Jackson Resende. It could be, I guess, redemption for them, not payback. So it's going to be interesting. And as you mentioned, the Outlaw Sim Series, I mean, I wouldn't mind joining. So Emerson, if you're watching it, Roval on trucks, I mean, I'm all the way up for it. It's going to be a fun race to watch and commentate.
Yeah, that's going to be a wild one. Sim Series. It's an elimination race for them as well. They just ran Texas Motor Speedway, the first round of the round of 10. They're going to eliminate 3 drivers after Wednesday and cut it down to 7. For a couple more races, we'll cut them down to 4 for the championship at Atlanta in December. In fact, that'll be a fun week. We will be crowning a champion with the Outlaw Sim Series December 15th. That's a Wednesday. And then we crown the next North American Racing League champions on Thursday, December 16th. So Wednesday, December 15th, champion night. Then Thursday, December 16th, champion night. That'll be a fun couple of days back to back with a couple of finales for each of those leagues. JP, there's a lot of great places to keep up with all of these great races. Where can they watch?
Well, you can follow us on pretty much every single social media at facebook.com/PitStopTV, twitter.com/PitStopTV_. On Instagram, you can follow at live race updates on Instagram.com/pit_stop_TV, and obviously our live coverage only on YouTube and on Twitch at youtube.com/PitStopTV1, and also on Twitch.
A lot of great places to watch and keep up with our social media activity. We've got a lot of great things coming up, I'd say, for 2022. You'll want to make sure that you are tuned in to everything PitStopTV up soon. What a great day of racing at the North American Racing League. Race 4, anyways, at Detroit. Really great stuff all day long. A big round of applause to all of the partners with the North American Racing League. Of course, Race Lab, Tam Livery, and JS Consulting, and everybody making everything happen behind the scenes. There's some announcements that have come out and are coming up more recently, they've come out recently and are coming up here in the near future. There we go. For the NARL, make sure to keep up with those as well on social media. Big things coming for this series that we are really looking forward to here at PitStopTV. Big stuff coming on the way. But for now, that will do it from the Detroit Grand Prix, Belle Isle Street Course, however you want to put it. A really great day of racing, and we thank you all for tuning in here at PitStopTV. For all of us at PitStopTV, myself, Andrew Cardinale, JP Costa alongside on the mic this evening, Trey Shuttlesworth on social media this evening, as well as everybody else who works with us throughout the course of the week. Every week, Emerson Arden, Jacob Zala, Devin Kent Zimmerman, Vincent... I never say his last name, so I always forget. Vincent. We always call him Vincent or Vinny. Cortez. Vincent Cortez. There we go. I always forget his last name for some reason. I never really use it to address him. But everybody else that works with us, Trey Patton, Eric Brennan, Caleb Gladney, and everybody else who makes our great team so great. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next time. Have a great night.